Hello again. So we're here for the Trailblazer Q&A, and there we go. I am Janelle. I'm a grants and learning officer. The Trailblazer and Catalyzer Fund lead, and I've been driving the fund refresh process. And I'm joined with Zoe, by Zoe, our head of grants. Zoe, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, I'm just going to briefly say hi. So Zoe, head of grants. So I sort of lead on our grant making practice at Youth Music.
Thank you, Zoe. So today we're going to be covering a few things about mainly around Trailblazer and the refresh, and then we've got time for questions. For those who are joining us a little bit later, the session's 90 minutes, but I doubt that we will need it. So yeah, we're a small group. Right, so technically I think you must know who we are, but just in case you don't know who we are, we're Youth Music. We're the UK's leading young people's music charity. We invest around £10 million in grants to organizations to run projects that support children and young people facing barriers to make, learn, or earn in music every year. We also support young people directly through our Next Gen Fund. I put in this slide around our grant making principles just to highlight a little bit the ways that we've been working for the past 5 years. It's been a bit of a process, but we've signed up to Flexible Funders Pledge. And that means, and these are our principles on the side, our 10 principles. And that means that we really aim to be, as accessible, participatory as possible. We don't want to waste time for applicants and people who have received our funding. We want to be asking a relevant question, accepting risk, acting with urgency, and we've been responding to a lot of the context by offering cost of living increases to our to our funded partners, or launching the Recharge Fund, which we did during COVID. It's about really being flexible and being really just working to support the people that we want to, it's just supporting organizations that we fund rather than making it more difficult to access funding and kind of manage a grant with us. A lot of other people have signed up to this pledge, and you can find out more about it on the IVAR website. So yeah, I just thought I'd put it in here just to give you a bit of a flavor of how we're trying to do things and kind of why we started doing the fund refresh anyway. So currently we've got 3 funds that are open. So the Trailblazer Fund, which is what we're discussing today. We've got the Catalyzer Fund, and it's a bigger, it's a grant to support organizations to kind of catalyze change or to grow and sustain their operations. It's going to be opening in May, I think, in spring. Zoe is writing something. I see. Yeah, she'll probably put the right date in there. And it's for bigger pots of money for a longer time. So 30K up to 300K up to 4 years. Next Gen is the fund that I was kind of talking about before it, and it's the one that supports young people directly. It's 2.5K to support young creatives to kind of achieve a goal, record an album, put on an event or something. So just supporting them in the beginning of their careers. Right. So Trailblazer is our fund where we encourage organizations that are new and established to trial, test, and disrupt. So try something new, test out something new, or just disrupt the status quo. Previously, if you weren't an established organization, you couldn't apply to our funding. But because we really want to support grassroots organizations, we have opened it up so you can be a new organization and still apply to Trailblazer. There's some caveats there, but they're all in the guidance. It's for 2 to 30K, 6 to 24 months. It's one application stage, so it's very straightforward, and we've got 3 rounds per year. I'm going to be sharing with you our schedule in a little bit, so don't worry. We'll look at the rounds. Right, so what's new? So you might have been funded by us before, you might not know us at all, but in summer, we kind of paused our funding programs, the Catalyzer and Trailblazer funding programs, and we made small but significant but important improvements. And that's because, well, I'll talk you through them. So first up, it's around eligibility. Schools are no longer eligible to apply to the Trailblazer Fund, but this is to prioritize funding for grassroots organizations, as I was saying before. But we will continue to fund work that takes place in schools. That means if you're a charity, if you're an organization, you're a CIC, you're not a school, and you want to do work in a school, that's fine. Specifically, a special school, mainly special school or a PRU, pupil referral unit, that's fine. If you are a school, you cannot put in an application for the Trailblazer Fund. It might be a bit confusing. We're happy to take questions about that down the line. Safeguarding, prior to this new round, the refresh, we didn't ask organizations to upload their safeguarding policy, but now we are. And we're also asking about specific safeguarding requirements in the application form. So we want to know if you have a policy, we want to know if you have a safeguarding lead, we want to know if if you have certain processes and procedures in place. And that's because we want to make sure that everybody is meeting safeguarding requirements and have the correct policies and procedures in place before project starts. We've changed the language around EDI, so now we call it IDEA, and that came out of a project that we've been working on with hubs and IDEA experts. And IDEA, EDI, if you don't know, it's basically inclusion, diversity, equity, and we've added the A to include access. So yeah, it's just our kind of our take on what we think EDI is, and we're kind of recognizing the importance of accessibility in there. Budget, we haven't made significant changes. We've just refreshed a little bit the language. We've made it quite clear that you are allowed to include contingency in your budgets, and we've also updated our guidance around match funding. And I think the most important part of the work that we've been doing is around decision making. So I shared our grant making principles at the beginning, and that's kind of influenced why we've done the refresh. And we just wanted to make sure that we are making decisions with the communities that we serve. So we want to make sure that we are diversifying the people who are involved in our decision-making processes. And that includes basically working with external advisors, independent advisors, including young people, people with a range of different lived experiences to help us make our funding decisions. So we've reviewed and revised the way we make our decision-making, and we've created a structure that involves all of these people to support us with making decisions about funding. We've made the similar changes to Catalyzer. However, there are a few more Catalyzer specific changes that we've made, but it's all in the guidance. So you can just go to our website and download the guidance, and you can see what's new there if you're interested. I just a bit of a note, but just to kind of be clear-eyed about everything. We've been seeing an increase in demand. However, we haven't had an increase in our own funding. So that means that we're having to, every year, we're seeing lower and lower success rates at youth music, with a historic kind of low of 17% in 23-24. A lot of the applications that we receive are applications that we want to support. However, it's extremely competitive, and it's about just being able to share the pot of money that we have as equitably as possible. The good news is that this is our overall figure. So it includes Catalyzer as well. It's slightly higher for Trailblazer. So if you can look, but just kind of, you can see the difference. Basically, Trailblazer round 4, we had 67 applications, and then 40% success rate. And then in round 5, so a couple of months later, we had 162 applications, and obviously that was a much lower success rate for 25%. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, just to manage expectations, but also to help you, to support you with your funding strategy moving forward. Here's the funding schedule. It's all on our youth music website, so don't worry. I will be sharing the presentation as well if you want, something physical to look at, well, metaphysical to look at. The next round deadline is on the 12th of January, and then in August, and then in November. Our rounds open a month before the deadline. So just the January one, normally, I think is going to be opening on the 8th of December. That means you can put in an application by the 8th of December if you wanted to, but you've got until the 12th of January to submit it. And I've just added some useful links as part of our refresh. We've kind of revamped some of our resources, and we've kind of like concentrated a lot of our resources in what we call the resource hub. And we've got resources for idea, safeguarding, evaluation, youth voice, finance and budgets. And we've got a learning program called Exchanging Notes. And it's a mix of videos that are online that can help you with your practice, but also learning sessions that are free to attend. We've got project examples on the website. We've got a Q&A already on the website. We've got a link, a page that we update before every round around sort of our funding priorities. So that kind of helps you maybe decide whether the next round is the right round for you to come in. Usually we'll say something, we want to prioritize applications from organizations who work in the Northeast with disabled young people, for example. Yeah. And we also have an access fund, and that's to support you if you identify as disabled. That's to support you with your application. So it's to support you getting the help you need to put in an application. And you should request the access fund before you put in an application, if that makes sense. But all the details are online. And again, I will be circulating all this. And if in doubt, just go to the Youth Music website under funding and you'll find links to everything there.